Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy. I'm here with my co-host.
Heather Baker.
Yeah, and we are excited. We have Ty Akiel with us. Hello.
How you doing? Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. You you do a lot of great things, and I'm excited to jump in to talk about all of them. But why don't I let you start by introducing yourself, if you don't mind?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Ty Keel, from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here. I was actually born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Um, but yeah, I'm just somebody who likes to stay busy. Never like to stay in one place too long. I make music. That's kind of what I'm most known for at this point. But I also have a strong hand in the community and just trying to give back to the communities that I was raised in and helping some of the people that helped me along the way and their kids and siblings and just trying to do my part as a human being is kind of how I like to put it. So I don't know how in depth you want me to get in the intro, but got a lot of things going on. Currently.
I'll tell you one of the things I like your music, but one of the things that I went ooh was the Still I Rise. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Assuming people haven't, assume people haven't heard it because not everybody will have. So just from the basics.
Yeah, definitely. So, Still I Rise was basically just a campaign that I came up with some other people on my team just to try to create like a positive message or outlook coming into this year of 2021. Um, Everybody going through the pandemic, I think we all experienced our different level of hardships, no matter who you are, alongside of everything else that was going on last year. So, I thought it was time to try to shift the momentum and create new positive energy. And Still I Rise is just a phrase that I've always held close and dear to me. Starting with Maya Angelou's poem, obviously, but then like other artists that I'm inspired by use that poem in her lyrics a lot. So that's kind of where it was birthed at, and now it's transitioned into being a campaign where like people are able to get involved and post their narratives of how they overcame and rose to the challenge of just being optimistic going into 2021. So yeah, it's dope, and obviously, well, not obviously, I'm sorry, but we have hoodies. That's kind of the way that people can get involved. We're selling hoodies, and the proceeds are going to my nonprofit, which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah, and the hoodies are great. They've got Rise kind of across the front.
Yep. So it's like it's still I and then rise, and then like if you look really closely, like each letter is like has a word that spells the letter. So for example, the R is restore, so it's basically restore written a bunch of times really
Nice.
small to form the shape of the R, and then moving down, it's restore, inspire, succeed, and empower. So that creates the rise.
Nice. I I've seen them around. I've seen people. I go to a lot of rallies, a lot of protests, a lot of things like that. That's what I do. But I so when I saw, I was like, oh, awesome! Now I know the backstory on this. They're very striking.
Yeah, no, it's a dope design. My longtime friend, my best friend, honestly, Casey Robinson Visuals. He actually created the design, and it was dope. Like exactly what I had in my head. He just like created the graphic, and we just ran from it. So or ran with it. So it was a dope experience.
One of the things I
How
like.
how oh sorry. I was just gonna ask how you go about choosing who you featured and their stories of how they rose in 2020 and now, I guess.
Yeah. So luckily, just like in the communities and networks that I'm involved in, I meet a bunch of like dope, talented people doing a bunch of different things. So it really just stemmed from my network to start off, and then asking around. My mom has a really great network that's a lot different than mine, so I reached out to her. Obviously, I had about 5 or 6 people behind the scenes helping with the campaign, so we kind of just all came together and nominated people and kind of went over their stories. And yeah, everybody was like super willing to be involved, which is dope. I thought we were kind of have to like try to find enough people, but it ended up being we had like or more than enough, I should say. So it was dope. So it wasn't really necessarily us selecting, just more so asking people, and then everyone said yeah, and we just kind of ran with that. We couldn't have too many just because of the space of the website, but yeah, it was dope.
I was going to say, I like the concept of the everyday person and, put it in perspective of everybody struggling and not like it doesn't have to be catastrophic or whatever, just the everyday wearing people down and just the small kindness and respect for each other, what that can do if it propels everybody to move in that direction too.
Yeah, no, that was kind of something else that was important to me too. Um, there was we kind of tabled the idea of like myself and a couple of other people heavily involved doing a narrative as well, and I wanted to stay away from that just to like make it seem more like it's not like me and my artist friends, like trying to do something more for propaganda, but it is just like, my mom is actually one of the people. It's everyday people, telling their stories because again, this is something that we all experienced, and there's so many different angles, and I think that's something. By the time all the narratives are released, like you'll see so many different perspectives. Just reading them myself, I was like, man, I didn't even like think about how that could have affected somebody, or the pandemic could have affected this family in that way. So that was a really, really cool moment about the whole campaign, if not the coolest.
It's going to be a fantastic archive, really, because it's funny to you. This is one of the few times when I think we all know we're living through an amazing time in history.
Yeah.
You know, and so and it's hard to put that in your head, but think about these people looking at the archive of themselves. Think about their children, their grandchildren looking at this archive of them later. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And that was kind of another reason for the campaign because I feel like I heard so many different stories about how people, especially in our city, with the George Floyd murder happened. It was like so many people took so many different approaches of how to cope and deal with that situation. Um, and for me, I didn't want it to be documented like maybe the negative things that may have taken place or things that kind of were outliers. I wanted to be like, okay, we're how are we going to document coming together as a city and overcoming the situation that we were in. So that was another intentional point of like, let's make this be about the next step, and not necessarily just about the turmoil that created, this problem or the situation that we're in as a community.
It's funny as I was reading the narratives, and we kind of had especially as you said in the Twin Cities, we had that the 1-2 punch of the pandemic, and then the horrific murder of George Floyd. But you kind of get a feeling where it was a perfect storm in some ways because the pandemic, and same with some people's work changed, some didn't, but we were all in kind of a limbo of sorts. But then all of a sudden this thing happens, and as horrific as it is, it's a crossroads. It's a time for people to do better, to learn better, to do something better. And so it seems like that's been an opportunity that people have taken that as an opportunity, to
No,
turn
definitely.
something horrific into something.
Definitely, I agree 100%. It was telling. I actually was with some friends like just during the weeks right after everything kind of came to a head, and it was more so just like a realization moment, and I was just like, wow, like you know, I got so caught up in like the what am I doing yet on a day-to-day basis? What do I need to accomplish for me and the people that I care about? It's a really selfish perspective and outlook to have. And I don't necessarily mean selfish negatively. It was just the mindset that I was in was completely about, self-preservation. And that moment just really, I was like, okay, what can we do? What can I do? I'm sorry, to take something good away from this, because like I'll be damned if I don't learn from that situation. And that's kind of where my nonprofit was born from, this whole movement, and just kind of like the page or the path that myself and many others kind of have been walking down ever since. And it's kind of weird. It's like bittersweet that it has to go back to that moment. Like obviously, I think we all wish if we could change that ever happening, we would. But again, it's like it did happen. So like, what now? And how can we make the world a better place because of it? You know?
That is it. It's really taking something that's horrific, and we won't pretend like that's the first time something like that has happened. It's just now is a time where it's really caught the attention. But you give us a nice segue now to so the hoodies are amazing, and the funds from the hoodies go to fund your nonprofit, which you just mentioned. Tell us a little bit about Give and Grow.
Yeah. So Give and Grow. I just got so much to say about it. It's so exciting. I never in my life imagined that I would be starting a nonprofit, especially this early. I kind of always thought that I would have to like achieve some sort of success with music in order to have like a level of impact in my community. And it kind of turned out to be the opposite. So yeah, Give and Grow, it basically got created from a donation drive that we started in wake of the George Floyd situation. And we ended up raising like over $20,000 in donations. And then that was able to generate over, I don't want to misquote it. I think it was like over $80,000 total of supplies were raised and brought in over a 5-day period. We did 2 different weekends. So, and I like, this is not for the content or anything. Like I guarantee you, this was the most life-changing experience I've ever had. Like I've done a lot of amazing stuff, and everybody that was there and a part of it like echoes these sentiments. Like there was some sort of energy, just being able to like do that for like people, not even just people in the community that needed it, but just being able to be a resource for people in my community that I grew up in. Like it felt really good. I was telling people that were in the lines while we were doing it, just like, I've been in those lines as a kid. Me and my mom were in and out of shelters growing up. So like, I know what it's like to be on that side. And it's like, please don't feel like embarrassed or shameful about any of this. You know what I'm saying? Cause like, we're happy to be able to like be a resource. Like we got people that have been in that same situation. And that kind of just bred the whole idea of the nonprofit, Give and Grow. It's a play on words. Me and the other co-founder, Gino Crandall, were both basketball players growing up. So it was play off of Give and Go. But we just kind of came to a head and was just like, in order to get ahead, in order to grow as a person, you got to first invest and like give into something, in order to receive, in order to create something great, you got to give, you got to plant. So yeah, the nonprofit is going really well. We're officially going to launch in the coming months here, but we've already started. I think we're at 5 or 6 campaigns now where we've just been kind of micro lending and creating other resources for other orgs and nonprofits around the city so far. So yeah, it's super dope, and I'm super excited about
it. Your smile went from regular to supersize the moment.
No, I was going to say, oh, sorry. I appreciate your Instagram where you're highlighting different figures of being game changers, and how can you say a little bit about that too?
Yeah, so one of my good friends, Josie Jimenez, she's in control of the Instagram, and we have bi-weekly meetings at this point, and she's always just like, what can we do? Like, what do we want to have, as far as like branding is concerned? And that was completely her idea. And so I just wanted to make sure I gave her credit. But it's really dope. I love the way that it's turned out. It's like me, myself, I don't know if you guys can believe this, but I really don't like social media that much. I try not to be on it as much as possible. So like when I get those questions from the team, I'm just like, you guys got it. You got it. But I saw the post, honestly, for the first time right before they were actually live. And I was just like, yo, this is really cool. Like, we got to run with this, especially while we're in kind of a transition period for our brand, for our organization. Like, yeah, just highlighting different game changers from, right now it's Black History Month, but I just call it history. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just game changers for history, and just like getting people educated on different super impactful people. And just showing too, like, I think if you get a little more information about these people who are game changers, you start to learn that they're regular people just like me and you. So it's like, how do we become who do we see as game changers? We can really be those people if we, have the right lens on it. So I think there's two sides to that coin in posting about those game changers as you said.
I was going to say, I can see possibly a photo of you down the road being highlighted for your work of this.
I
Really?
to do though, but I hope so. I'm gonna receive all of that. I'll take it in. Yes, for sure.
You should. You should. You're doing good work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I just think the work is fantastic, and I like that kind of the flip of the coin where you've got every everybody who's amazing is also regular.
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's really that simple, and that was something again that I learned this summer. It was just like, you give people that every time I mention those numbers to people, it's always whoa, like they're taken aback. Like that honestly got me in the door to have a lot of meetings with people, just as far as my nonprofit was concerned. But then I step back and think about what like we actually did and how we like pulled that all off. It was just like we were just like, all right, how do we need to find a space? We're just taking it step by step, using our own, like none of us are rich, none of us are super well resourced, but as a community we're all of those things. And that was kind of the turning point in my head. Is just like, yo, we can achieve a lot, just us, you know what I'm saying? And I mean us as a community, whoever you are in your community, you can achieve a lot.
That just, lets other people know, the power that you really do have, not knowing. You had somebody that you highlighted on the Still I Rise that he was saying like he viewed himself the way others saw him and not necessarily what he wanted or was his truth. And it's kind of goes with that, I think, too, and how often we sell ourselves short because we're going along with how people value us. So then we start to see ourselves that way too. So I thought that was a really cool introspective look of yourself and what you do just to yourself, not even anybody else too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think you're referring to Easy's narrative, and yeah, like that was like I was kind of saying earlier. Like each time I read, any of the new narratives, I got a different takeaway myself. Like it kind of changed the meaning of the campaign in a sense, because then I started seeing "Still I Rise" as like a mantra, which was dope. Because it's like every time you put on that hoodie, you're gonna read those words, and it's not just about supporting a nonprofit. Maybe someone just wanted to support me. Now it turns into something like I'm waking, and that goes into the campaign. We all had to wake up every single day and keep going after it. There was a lot of people that didn't even, make it to that point. So just reminding yourself of that and just using the opportunities that you have. I think, yeah, that was another takeaway, definitely. And I got that from Easy Narrative too.
It's a mantra that you say to yourself, but also you're giving out to others as they read it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's as you walk down the street, as you walk through a project, you read a lot of signs, you read a lot of T-shirts,
Right.
and the Rise one is always so positive.
Thank you. Yes, I
Positive,
agree.
so positive. Was there an instant? Was there that you recognized the opportunity to do this?
This as far as the Still I Rise campaign.
And or the give and go. Like when did we can make a change? We can do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I think overall it was definitely the donation drive for me, just because like as hectic and chaotic as the weeks leading up to that was, we still were able to pull it off. And that was like I wasn't taking off of work, anything. Like we were all still working our normal jobs. Luckily I'm able to work from home during all this, so like everybody was able to come together, and it was like we really did something on a major scale, just like I said before, just with our community's resources. So that was kind of the turning point of just being like, I don't have to wait until I'm like super well off on my own, or like I have all the resources myself or connections. I can do this right now. It's just about how, what, what I'm saying, just the will and the want to. We'll figure out everything else on the way. So that was definitely just the moment of just being like, it is possible. We just did it, and we did it on a crazy high level for that one sample size. So obviously, I'm not gonna expect to do that every time, but like even having little ripples along the way, or as you go, and then doing that once or twice a year is super impactful. But if I sit on my hands and say, well, it'll be really hard to duplicate that again and not do anything, then what am I really doing at that point anyway? So
Right.
but as far as the campaign is concerned, I don't necessarily know if there was a turning moment for that. That just kind of was an idea at one point, and then we just kind of kept feeding the idea until it came to fruition.
Yeah, that's what I think is so interesting. A lot of people say we shoulda, we oughta, I have an idea, but how do you take it from to this to doing, from talking to doing?
It's tough. It's tough. I think, like, for me, the biggest part about that is just having a solid team. I think for myself, I'm good at being like, okay, idea phase is over. Like, we need to act. Like, I'm action. I like action. But there's people on my team that like have great concepts and great ideas, or not even their own ideas, but if you bring an idea to the table, they'll add to it and make it something amazing. You know what I mean? Something that you didn't even think it was. So, and that's exactly what happened with Still I Rise. Like, I brought the original idea to the table, but then we got 6, 7, 8 comments about what we can change and tweak and modify to get this end result. But yeah, so we got those people on the team. We also have the people like me that are like, okay, we're getting too far left into the what could, because we're like, literally we just met last Wednesday and there was ideas like we should do this moving forward, and I'm like, well, we're already on the line. We already started the campaign. We got to keep it kind of, active. Definitely help you out as far as like getting that from idea to actually stage.
Yeah, yeah. I was in a meeting recently. It was a little bit like that.
Yeah.
I'm a little more. Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Right. No, that's a daily occurrence for me.
It's a team is hard. A team is good.
Right. Right.
There's that old, if you want to do something fast, do it alone. If you want to do something
Mhm.
for a long time, do it with others. And it sounds like you have an amazing team that's behind you, that's with you.
Yes, definitely. Luckily, it helps that we were a team before we were officially a team. So it's a lot of childhood connections and just kind of adding to that mix since we've been growing up. But yes, I would not be talking to you guys right now if it wasn't for all the other people that way.
That's good. Well, maybe we can shift a little bit because we also want to hear about your music.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Music. So because of all the things we've been talking about, music has kind of been on the back burner as of late or recent. But that's always going to be, I always tell people like basketball is my first love. Music was my second. Like, that's just how I express myself. That's my therapy. So I'm always going to be creating. I've never stopped creating. It's just as far as like getting into the studio and producing content that's at a quality level to release. But like I said, we kind of were talking briefly before we jumped on the air, but my birthday is coming up soon. So after that, I'm officially going back into like working like the crazy person that all my friends call me. Just getting back in the studio as far as like producing content for the fans, because people have been asking, and I always feel bad that I'm like neglecting a certain portion of my like followers or like audience when I don't release music. But at the same time, I got to make sure that it's quality too. So it's coming. We got some new things on the way. But yeah, the last project that I released isn't too old yet. So if anybody hasn't heard any of my music as of right now, definitely go check out the last couple of projects on any platform. It should still be, within the right sound of the times.
No,
Oh.
just another interlude. Is that one of the more recent?
Yes. Yep. So that's on the last project that I had, Samson's Delilah. That was that was the lead single, I believe. I released a music video to that song. So there's a dope visual that goes along with that.
Yeah.
As well as a couple of other tracks. But yeah, that's one of my favorite ones off of that project for sure.
Yeah, well, I love that part. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not conflating. That's with the flipped screen at the end.
Yep, yep.
I
That's
love
about
that because I'm
my
in
guy.
Chicago right now. I'm gonna tell you there's a museum that apparently you can get video of yourself doing a flip screen. I'll get that to you later. I haven't
Oh,
done it
really?
yet, but
Okay. Yeah, I want to check out a couple of museums while I was there. That's actually on my to-do list. So,
oh
uh,
well, that's what I do when I'm here. Well, once the camera's off, I'll give you a whole list of.
okay,
But
perfect.
I mean, do, do you have part of your team that knows how to do the video? How do you? I mean, that's I love that.
Oh yeah. No, I cannot take credit for that at all. Um, I'm what they call like a good when it comes to the music side of things or production side. I'm the idea person. I'm just like, how about we do this? And then I gotta have my basically my direct producer. He executive produces everything visually that I do. He's always like, okay, well, realistically, that'll cost like $10,000. So like, how about we do something a little down? I'm like, okay, but no. My guy Micah, Optic Ninja Media, he handles everything visually for me. Well, him and then my guy who did the Still I Rise graphic, Casey Robinson visuals, they kind of team up and handle all of my visuals, and they're super overqualified for what it is they do for me. So it just helps to have those those connections that people like to help out just because of the personal connection that you have, and that's definitely the case with those two. Um, yeah, Micah is working with equipment that should be on like movie sets pretty much. So that's where you're able to see some of those quality shots, the shot value and production value that he's able to bring to any of our projects is crazy. Where to the point where I get people reaching out to me like, yo, like this is my budget. Like, can you like shoot this for me? And I'm like, whoa, let's go to this
Yeah,
way. It's not
yeah.
me. Like, yeah, I can't take credit for it, but it definitely helps, especially in today's age where everything is visual. I wouldn't I don't know what I would do without those two guys specifically.
Well, and it is nice of them, but it's also a good investment in you.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's what Micah always says too. It's like, he gets a lot of exposure from working with me as well. So it's definitely a beneficial, a mutually beneficial partnership. But um, yeah, I just whenever I talk about it, I gotta say how I benefit because I always feel indebted to that man for sure.
Well, and your music is it's such a nice blend of hip hop, a little bit of rap, and then and the R&B kind of
Mhm.
undercurrent as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm like, it's crazy. Like I consider myself to be a rapper, a hip hop artist, but like when I'm by myself, like I only play R&B music really. Like I grew up on R&B music. I really enjoy just like I'm more of a chill demeanor person as well. So I love R&B. Like that's just if I'm grooving, that's what I'm listening to. Um, and luckily over the last couple of years of my career, I've developed a sound that can kind of transition into the R&B game with all the new vocal presets and things that they have available for us. So yeah, hopefully I'm able to do that more and more as the career goes on and I learn more skills vocally and otherwise. Um, but yeah, it's definitely starting to transition to the point where it's getting to the point where it's almost 50-50 now. So, but that's the sound, that's kind of what most people are doing to stay relevant. So, you gotta put your own flair to what's going on with the times.
Well, and what I like with just another interlude is it's very smooth in
Mm.
a way that I don't normally think of rap as being. No, I mean I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in rap whatsoever, but it is very well because it's your birthday soon. I'm just going to say it. It's very mature, you know, for someone who's probably half my age. I'm not, but it's very, it is just very. I don't have the words. I just have to do this. There's
No,
something about it that's really smooth.
I like that though. It kind of like people always say I'm an old soul and I'm even keeled. So that's what that reminds me of. Like it's smooth. It's just real easy. No, I would agree with you. Like I love jazz music. I kind of miss the era of rap. Like the rap that I fell in love with was way more lyrical and like stripped down. as far as instrumentation is concerned. And I feel like a lot of that is missing. So I like to bring that into my style as well. So even when it comes to like something that's a little more R&B, like say I like to give that same type of feel. I think you got to let the lyrics. That's the best way to let the lyrics speak for themselves, and that's what I love doing, whether it's singing or rapping. So um, yeah, I definitely I would agree with you. It's smooth. It's like my rapping style nowadays is definitely it's not as much turn up when I was a younger kid than I am now. But I still like to come with real flows and diction and cadences that still would be considered like rap.
How did you get
When
involved in
you're,
music to start?
oh,
Sorry.
So I don't know. Actually, I used to be involved in poetry when I was a kid. So I loved poetry, like growing up, lower school, elementary school, middle school, and then kind of by the time I hit like eighth grade, like everything in my life dissipated except for basketball. Like it was all basketball, everything, and I kind of went away from it. But I always kind of had a love for just music and like freestyling with everybody was like, oh, you can like, you got flow, you can rap. And it was just like a little hobby I did to get attention, honestly, growing up. And then when basketball ended for me, it was kind of like a rough period in life just all together. And it just happened to be that music was my escape, my outlet. So it was that. And then it turned professional once I like did it enough and honed in on enough. So there wasn't an exact time. It was kind of always like brewing in kind of the right set of circumstances. But yeah, I would say more so just having a baseline to develop a skill and then just pursuing it. Like I said, I'm kind of like a doer. So I was just like, I want to do music. And the first couple of years were really, really rough. But at the time, it didn't feel that way. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like people are telling me this is dope. They like my songs, and I literally double back on some of my friends. Like, yo, I can't trust nothing you ever tell me. This process was terrible. I can't even act like that. But luckily, they lied to me enough to give me enough confidence at this point. So.
when putting album together or however you release it, is there sort of a theme, or do you have something in your head, like, because you are a doer and a thinker of big things, is that kind of how you operate everywhere, or just like little sparks of stuff and then you're like, okay, here I go this way, or trying to figure you out?
No, so I've been asked this question, not this exact question, but similar questions before, and it's so hard to answer it, like, because I can give you a vague answer, right, and just be like, yes, but to be honest, it's both. Like, it's little sparks of inspiration lead to an overall picture of like something I'm trying to accomplish. But I don't ever like go into it being like, this is the project that I'm going to create. This is what I want to execute. It's kind of just like I start living life, experiencing things, and I'll write a song or I'll write a piece of a song, then I'll write a piece of another song, and I'll look up and I got 15 songs that I haven't even started to record yet. And there's a similar theme between 8 of them. And then I'm like, okay, I like that. And then from there, that inspires me to create another song, which will probably end up being the best song on the project. That's the last one or last 2. So then you have like 10 similar type songs and you hone and refine it. And then at that point, I start going big picture. Like, okay, what are the videos I want to shoot for this? Who do I want to get involved as far as being on the track with me if I have other co-creators? Do I want to do like a album release party for this? Do I want to like, what are the next steps? How do I want to promote it? So once I kind of have an idea of like, okay, I think I got a project ready to go, then it just goes straight big picture. But until then, it's super random for me. Like I don't ever create a single song with like the idea of like a project in mind. It's always just, what am I going through right now? Today, what irritated me? What did I wish I could do over? What did I wish I could have done or didn't get to yet? Just positive, negative, everything is just kind of inspiring. So that's kind of what does it in the moment. And then just let it go from there.
I was going to say you might have some very interesting writings come up due to all your work and all the stuff that has been going on.
Definitely, yeah. One of my good friends just asked me.
Ty,
Can't hear
we
you.
can't hear you.
Like just growth music is what I'm calling it.
So, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
wait.
Ty. We couldn't hear. Can you just sorry? Can you repeat yourself? We couldn't hear you for the start. Really, the start of the answer.
Oh,
We can't hear you again.
It's going good.
oh, now we can hear again.
I got you guys back now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry if we could just ask you to repeat that.
Yeah, no problem. So I was just saying, one of my good friends, one of my producers, was asking me like what was inspiring my music recently, and I kind of just told him it was just like growth music is what I've been calling it, and it's just like me becoming the person who I want to be. And I think that's kind of been the theme of my life for the last half a year, just like taking this downtime, collective downtime that we've all had to really like figure out like not only who I wanted to be, but like my vices and like things that I want to change about myself, and just being comfortable, really comfortable in my own skin. So yeah, that's, you can definitely hear that in the theme of the newest stuff that I've been writing. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say has been the most inspiring as of late.
Game changer.
Definitely. Maybe that'll be a title of one of the next songs coming up. Based off
Yeah. I feel like you're just gonna be the snowball that keeps growing and growing and growing and growing.
I love that metaphor. I use it on like a weekly occurrence in meetings. So, I like that.
I was gonna say you live in the right state. You live in the right state. Do you, and maybe because I would like something like this to happen, so no pressure, but do you ever see maybe doing something musical to promote the nonprofit, or kind of mesh those together, or is that something you want to keep separate?
It's something that I want to keep separate for now. I definitely, more so for the nonprofit sake, I just want to make sure that everything on the
Yeah.
is strictly about that. And so I guess either the nonprofit got to a certain level of notoriety, or myself, if I got to a certain level of notoriety, I think that would change, or both, hopefully both. I think that would definitely change once each is solidified on its own. I definitely would be willing to do different things, but as of right now, I'm just looking to keep it separate. It's already hard enough to keep like it's separate just in my life as far as like work and group messages and things of that nature. Even with the Still I Rise campaign, it's kind of meshing everything a little bit together because it's officially under my artist, Akiel. So um, yeah, but that's funny. I was actually thinking about possibly doing a song and video for the Still I Rise campaign at one point. So that was one of the ideas that was thrown on the table. So there's still potential for that. It kind of just depends on how the campaign moves forward in the second and third stages. But as of right now, overall, yeah, I'm definitely looking to keep it separate until things get a little more solidified.
It's a good idea. Is that I wow, because if you can keep things separate in this time during the pandemic, you're doing well. You're doing well. But I think you're doing well in both camps, you know, and as I said, I respect that. I respect wanting to keep I think that Heather's got a good idea, but when the time is right for you.
Right. No, exactly. And I don't want people to think that was one of my biggest areas of I display caution. I didn't want anyone to think that this was about me, like specifically. Um, and the co-founder Gino, he was the same way. He plays overseas professional basketball, so we didn't want this to be about us in any way. So we actually, probably to our detriment a little bit, like kept our names off of everything and like made sure it was up to standards that way. But I think now that we got our footing a little bit more, and once we officially launch, I think the realm of collaborating and getting more involved as far as like our names are concerned is definitely going to be a possibility.
Because you've alluded to Give and Grow it's absolutely a live and breathing thing, but it sounds like you're ready to do an announcement to make it more official of some sort.
Yeah, well, so we filed and we have like everything. We're an official nonprofit organization, but we just wanted to build up. I think the best way to describe it is like social capital, just with like everyone in the community, and just like actually get into the community. That's the best way to put it, and like actually doing things before we launch as a nonprofit. I think there was a lot of people that were putting things together during this last year, and some. It was kind of like, what is everyone doing? What is their purpose? Where should we be giving our attention? Where should we be giving our funds? And we kind of wanted to take the approach of, listen, this isn't about you supporting us. This is about the community. So we're going to start doing things in the community and like hopefully earn people's trust, and not only people's trust, but like when we start applying for grants and things of that nature, like have a solid foundation to like stand on and be like, okay, this is what we're looking to do now. Now we're here, Give and Grow. So there's going to be an official launch where it's, we're going to have like an actual event. Hopefully we'll be able to pair it with some sort of another type of donation drive. So that's all in the works right now, exactly how we're going to unveil it and when. But in the meantime, we still got other campaigns planned. It's not like we're just waiting. We still have things in the works for people to get involved with us and make the community a better place, as cliche as that sounds.
Are you looking for volunteers still, or?
Always. The pandemic definitely made things super hard. That was one of the things that slowed us down initially, just because most things that the best resource is people's time, right? Just getting people together and doing something. So now that restrictions are starting to be lifted slowly. There's more capabilities that we have in order to get people together. I know something that we have a big hand in is like garden spaces and like just community, like groundskeeping work around Minneapolis. So once the weather gets a little bit warmer, let's cross our fingers for multiple reasons that happens. But once it starts to get a little warmer outside, then we'll be able to do a little more as well. So always looking for volunteers. Right now, it's a little bit tough just because of restrictions, but very, very soon we'll need all hands on deck again.
And if someone is listening and they would like to find out more about volunteering or about you in general, how can they find you?
Yes, so at Give and Grow is the nonprofit. So if you want to volunteer, we have all of our staff logged into the account, so someone will respond to you very, very quickly. And if you just want to know like what we have going on, feel free to reach out to us, comment on a post, DM us, anything works that way. And that's at Give and Grow, GIVE.N.GROW. On all social media platforms. And then for myself personally, it's at Akiel, TIAKIEL. That's also on all social media platforms. If you want to get involved with me personally, just reach out on social media. All of my emails and management emails are there. And obviously you can DM me as well. Like I said, I'm not on social media as much, so it might take me a little bit longer to respond to those, but feel free to
You've got a website?
Yes. Also, I'm sorry. Yeah. www.tyakiel.com. You can find all of my music and anything that I have going on there as well.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear more about Give and Grow. I have ideas, but I'm also happy to spread the word to get more volunteers. I think doing gardening work in all of Minneapolis, but some neighborhoods more than others.
Mhm.
I walk. Heather's a big runner. I'm a big walker, and I walk often. Sometimes I'll start in Kenwood and then end up in North Minneapolis, and
Okay.
you
Yep.
see the need for some gardening in some areas.
Yeah, I know the route you're talking about too. I used to bike that all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, no, and we do like trash walks and stuff where we're just picking up trash around the city. So we got a lot of different things going on. And again, unfortunately, we kind of got started right when the weather got bad, but we're gonna pick it back up full swing. And
That's
I was gonna say, yeah, you have two ladies that will be signing up to help
all right,
here.
perfect. I will see you guys. I'll make sure I email you guys personally. So you
Yep.
don't miss.
well, yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine runs a couple of shelters in North Minneapolis, and I have spent many a Saturday afternoon walking around that neighborhood with. We're very official picker uppers.
Yeah, so, the girl who I mentioned earlier who runs our social media accounts, she bought a bunch of trash sticks. So like we have like 15 of those just for the org, and we supply trash bags, and it was actually like
It's
I
fun.
remember doing it. Yeah, it was really fun. Like we brought like a little portable speaker, about 10, 15 of us, depending on the day that we went out there. But it's a good time. You just spend an hour, 2 hours. It goes really, really fast. Although you do feel a little bit like how small you are on the world though, because it's like there's no way you can pick up all that trash. Like that's the only negative part, because it's like wow, there's so much stuff. But outside of that, it's a really good experience, and it's
It's yeah. I
yeah.
well, I do it along the beach, near down Winnetonka, down
Okay.
by Fort Snelling, and that is the one because you can see the difference. Like there is nice where you look back and you go, oh,
Yeah.
I see grass. Oh, I see. It's very well, I will just stop you there right there. But I'm looking to hear more about Give and Grow. I would look specifically for some of those, and we're happy to help get more people to volunteer for something like that. And then the Still I Rise, I'm hoping we'll see some more profiles on that. I just think that's an amazing idea. And then finally the music, we're looking forward to the new music.
Yes, that is coming soon as well. Our next Still I Rise narrative will be unlocked tomorrow, so that'll be the 23rd of February. But we have after that one, we'll still have five more
Amazing.
narratives to get to, and then we got a bunch of people that are posting on social media too. So if you follow it's a Triple Kings clothing account. That's who actually designed the hoodies. That's me and my team's clothing company. So we are posting everyone's narratives that isn't on the official website if you want to tune in there as well.
Nice. Nice. Well, thank you for your time. Happy birthday. I will tell Chicago you're on your way. I'm going home on Wednesday, but I'll leave breadcrumbs for you. So have an
Perfect. Yeah,
amazing
let us
birthday,
know.
and it's fantastic to meet you and to hear all the rising that you're encouraging other people to do. So
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was really nice to meet both of you as well.
Thanks, Ty.
Yeah, no problem.